Why is it that whenever you start a new endeavor or a new project, something that you were genuinely excited to learn, it never lasts? What was that thing for you? Because I know for me, this is something very relatable. It's something very familiar. And I always used to start projects and think that I'd found something that I loved, and yet I just couldn't commit myself to it. Why? It wasn't the fact that, I didn't want to do it, because I did. I was truly excited, but, it never lasted more than a couple weeks at the best. A few days to a couple weeks is only as long as it lasted, and I always wondered why. That's what this video is about. The first reason is because you don't see progress linearly. Our brains can best understand linear graphs. Constant improvement at a fixed rate. That is what we can most grasp. We really struggle to grasp exponential growth and other forms of growth that isn't linear. More complex forms of growth. Progress rarely looks like a linear graph. Instead, it looks more like an exponential graph. If you don't know the difference between these two, a linear graph goes up the same rate the whole time. I'll put a picture up. And an exponential graph starts off with very small improvements, which eventually compound, and the rate becomes increased and increased the further along the graph you get. This is how progress usually looks, because, of course, when you start, you make almost no progress, because you don't know anything, you're not good. Progress comes all at once, or in waves. There isn't a constant reinforcement, there isn't a constant feedback to your work, and so it can be demotivating. Motivation doesn't come all the time, and that's why most people can't commit, because they don't get the positive reinforcement, the positive feedback of seeing results or seeing the fruits of their labor. And so you have to learn to be patient. Not only to be patient, but to do things without the constant positive feedback. That's important, but you gotta learn to be able to do things without that, and that's how you commit. This effect is exuberated by the world we live in today. That world being online, social media. We always see people who are masters of their craft, especially if it's something that we're into, something that we want to start. When we go looking for other people who do that same thing, we find masters. We find people who what we want to be like, and we see them as competitors when in reality they are our seniors. Comparison really is the thief of joy. When we see people on social media who do our art form, who are masters of the craft that we want to begin, it seems so out of reach, because we know our skills. We know that we're no good compared to them, or compared to what we see on social media, which we all know isn't true. It's something called the effort paradox. The concept of it is that the easier something looks, or the easier someone makes something look, the harder it was to get to that point. The more effort they put in over more time, more rigorous effort over more time it took to get there. It's like if someone is an amazing dancer, if they make the dancing look so easy, that actually means it took more effort, not less, to get to that point. But of course, social media, especially online, and not even just online, but it definitely makes this more, it definitely increases this, but it's not just online, it's also when you see it in the world. Things can look easy, and sometimes we assume that means not that much has gone into it, that there's been no preparation, and then we wonder why we can't do the same thing. What is it about us? What is it about them that gives them the natural inclination to be able to be so masterful and effortless at that which we would like to pursue? And the answer is, it's a lie. This is the nature of the effort paradox, and it can be really demotivating for people who have just begun, because at the end of the day, you need to learn to be okay with being a beginner. Everybody, all of these people that you've seen that are masters of their craft were all beginners at one point. Whether that's hard to believe or not, it's simply the facts. This exponential growth graph, you have to go through the first part of the graph. It always starts from zero, and it's being okay with being a beginner and understanding this and accepting it, and that's how you can commit to things. And that's how you can commit to things again. If you just practice being a beginner, stop comparing yourselves to people who have spent years and years dedicating themselves to this, and start working not for the constant feedback of progress, but do it because you love it, then you'll be able to commit. Thank you for watching.